Time now to welcome in CBS Sports football analyst and the czar of the playbook, Emory Hunt, to chat through some of these potential history-making in the NFL this season. Always good to see you, my friend. Let's start with Saquon. Emory, he's only 101 yards away from the single-season record set in 1984 by Eric Dickerson. You just saw it in the graphic there. Only one game to go in the regular season. And if the NFL does have scriptwriters, it can't get any better than this because he's going up against his former team, the team that let him go, the New York Giants. Can he do it?
As tempting as it may be, Katie, and as petty as we both are in these type of situations, you don't want to sacrifice long-term success for short-term fame. So if they needed this ball game, if there was a reason for Saquon to be playing in this ball game, or if they were out of the postseason picture, and you know what, this is the last game, go out and get that record, I'd say go for it, man. But because they have a long postseason ahead of them, and they're trying to go into this postseason as healthy as possible, I would say be satisfied with the 2,005 yards. Don't try to chase that number because the football gods will always frown upon you chasing things that really don't matter.
Speaking of petty, Dickerson told USA Today, these people who say records are meant to be broken, you ain't got no record. And I have to agree with him on that one. Let's move on here. Mike Evans also on the verge of history. He goes for his 11th consecutive 1,000-yard season. Evans only needs 85 more yards to surpass the great Jerry Rice as the all-time leader in receiving yards. Now, this one's interesting, too, because his arch nemesis, Marshawn Lattimore, is gone from the Saints, and that's who they're up against this weekend. I'd say he has a pretty good chance next week. What are your thoughts?
Man, I just watched the Saints defense do nothing against the Raiders, so absolutely he should go and get this record and probably will have this record locked up by halftime. The reason why I like him going to attack this record, because for a couple of reasons. The Bucks need him to win the game because they still have to win in order to secure their playoff picture, their playoff berth. And also, he's a big part of their offense, so it jives well with him going to get this record. And outside of that, long-term view of this here, Katie, folks know that these types of milestones matter. They want to get him that 1,000-yard season, so when it comes time to make a case for him to be a Hall of Famer, man, he had 1,000 yards in every year of his career. How could you leave him out? You know that's going to be the argument, so you can't make that if he has that one season that he didn't get 1,000 yards. So I'd like for him to go and get that against New Orleans, against a rival. They need him in the offense, and they have to win the ball game, so all three of those boxes are going to be checked.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. And I'm curious what Jerry thinks of this one, if he sides with Dickerson on this one, or maybe he's a little bit more generous with his record. But Emory, not all players are chasing history. Some are just chasing cash, right? Some are just chasing money here, which we appreciate from them as well. The Broncos agreed this summer to revise Courtland Sutton's contract, offering the former All-Pro Bowler an additional $1.5 million in incentives on top of his $13.5 million salary base. He only needs 82 yards from locking in $500,000, $500,000. Does he do it?
I think so because of the same reasons I talked about with Mike Evans. The Broncos have to win this ball game. He's their best wide receiver. He's also Bo Nix's #1 target in the passing game. So he's going to get that opportunity to break this in a game that actually matters, in a game that actually counts. The football purist in me wants him to break it on a touchdown reception when they win the ball game, but for all of us involved, we want him to hit that milestone. I'm pretty sure Sean Payton wants him to hit that milestone as well. It wouldn't surprise me to see Sean Payton feature him early and often in this game to kind of rack up those opportunities. What I love about Courtland Sutton is that he could be moved around the formation. So you don't have to be relegated to keeping him on the outside. They'll find ways to get him the best matchup to get him the football to help him cash that ticket.
Yeah, and I feel like quarterbacks are always on the side of their guys, too. I remember when Gronk just needed one more catch to get $1 million, and Tom Brady was like, don't worry, I got you. Let's talk about a running back here. Chargers running back J.K. Dobbins' contract also restructured ahead of the season to include an extra $150,000 each time that he goes over a rushing yard benchmark. He's only 58 yards away from that incentive against the Raiders this weekend. He has gone over this number, Emory, in 4 of his last 6. How do you feel about his chances?
I think his chances are good, but at the end of the day, the Chargers have already clinched. So how much of J.K. Dobbins we will see, because he just got back from injury. So you don't want him to go out there and re-aggravate something and be without him for the postseason. So maybe if he can get this, let's say within the first quarter, then you go ahead on, let him get that, then you sit him down and put him on ice and get ready for the postseason. But I don't want to see him out there in the fourth quarter in a game that really doesn't matter for the Chargers and ends up re-aggravating an injury, and now you're without another piece of your backfield and your run game going into the postseason, where you're going to need the ability to run the football.
You know, you talk about how maybe they sit him, he's not going to catch this benchmark, but he's also up for something else pretty interesting. That's comeback player of the year, coming off that really gruesome injury. How do you feel about his chances for that?
Now that they've changed it to make it about a guy coming off of an actual injury, I'm all for it, because at the end of the day, Sam Darnold should have won comeback player of the year based off what we've seen him come back from. But because it's a change to coming back from an injury, yes, J.K. Dobbins, I feel confident about his chances in being a guy to win that award based on what he went through last season, how gruesome it was, and we didn't even think we'll see him play again. And it was good to see him come out, play this year, show some burst, show some wiggle, and still show he still is J.K. Dobbins.
I feel like there should be 2 comeback player of the year awards, one for players who just kind of came out of the darkness like Sam Darnold did, and then one for some that were actually injured. You bring up a good point there. Last but certainly not least, Seahawks gunslinger Geno Smith is just 186 pass yards away from a whopping $2 million incentive. That is a lot more money than anyone else we've talked about on this show. The good news is he goes up against the Rams, who have already locked up the division, likely sitting some of their starters. But divisional matchups, as you know, Emory, are never easy. Can Geno lock up $2 million?
Now, I love when we have show synergy and circular motion. That's a movie term where what we saw in the beginning comes back in the end and it ties it all together. We talked in the beginning about Saquon not needing to chase his record because he has so much more at stake. Well, the Seahawks have nothing at stake, so go ahead on, Geno. Go chase that $2 million. Go and get that record. I think we'll see him do it because they have 3 excellent wide receivers. We know that. We know the run game kind of can help open up things for their passing attack. The Rams will be sitting some guys, and, hey, that helps out this offense for the Seattle Seahawks as well. So I expect him to go out there and get that record for Geno Smith. That's $2 million. That's another jacket for you, Katie, because I've been peeping the jacket you got on. I know it's out there in dollar signs. So, yes, Geno Smith, go get that 186. He'll have this by halftime easily.
You know, Geno Smith's problems has never been throwing the ball. He passes all over the place. It's converting it into touchdowns that is the problem. So I'm with you on this one. And by the way, this jacket is like $1.5 million, so it's not even at the $2 million. Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you as always. If you like what you see from Emory, or hey, you just want some betting advice, make sure you turn into The Early Edge. It is Sportsline's daily betting podcast. You can find it on YouTube and also on CBS Sports Network. You can scan the QR code on your screen.